The Federation of Agricultural Organizations, AgriSA, has warned of the likely impact of the recent torching of trucks on the food sector. The body says there might be poor access to food across the country as a direct result of the attacks. Joining us now is Jaco, Minnaar, who's AgriSA president. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. Talk to us about the impact. I mean, we know that the president has already allowed for the SANDF to be out there to ensure some form of security, but the impact is large.
Well, the impact is huge. We know about the vehicles that's been burnt along the main routes in the country currently, or up to now. The impact is not only the vehicles that's been burnt, but it's the delay that it caused for all the other vehicles to deliver food to the different places where it's consumed or where it should be exported. I think the impact is more in the economy. I don't think that people should be afraid that they won't get food. It's not that at this stage, but it's the exports, it's the imports. It's a long-term effect. As it has in the economy, it has on agriculture as well.
You were among those lobbying for the president to deploy the SANDF in support of the police. Exactly how crucial do you think that intervention is for the agricultural sector?
We certainly know that the police force isn't manned enough. This should do in the rural areas. We experience that daily. So any help we think that the police could need, we should give them, and that's why we asked for the SANDF. We saw in 2021 when the riots was experienced in KZN and Natal and Gauteng. The only thing that changed it actually around was the deployment of the SANDF. So we think that they did an excellent job back then, and we think really securing the main routes is really something that they can do, and I think the visibility of the police as well as the defence force along these routes can really make a huge difference in terms of crime prevention on these routes.
Some critics have described the president's move as a bad idea, saying that the SANDF is already overstretched, and every time it's used to replace the South African police in a task, the capabilities of both departments are then degraded as a result, and that in itself doesn't solve any of the root causes. How much do you think the SANDF's deployment will resolve when it comes to some of the pressing issues you've been speaking to?
No, we certainly think it's not the ideal situation. The ideal is that police should have taken this up and do all the work. But we know there's simply not enough people there. So I think of importance is just the visibility. The more people we can get around the roads, the more people that we can have securing the roads, securing the infrastructure, the better it is. I think our economy currently is really, you can say, in ICU, and everything that has an impact on the economy is really making it worse. So the SANDF is not the first option. It's certainly also not the last, but it's certainly an option that we can use, and we've seen it working effectively in the past.
Yeah. Apart from the costs incurred as a result of the destruction of the trucks and the many logistical issues farmers are already facing, what other additional financial burdens created on already cash-strapped producers when it comes to aspects of insurance, security, and so forth?
I think the current problem is the citrus industry is in peak season. They export just about 90% of their produce, and this is peak season for them. Half has been exported already, so the other half needs to be exported. And we all know it's a fresh produce, so every day delay has an impact on the quality. Quality has an impact on the price. In the grain industry, we've got about a 4-month window where we can export where the Northern Hemisphere can't export. This is the 4 months window that we are in currently. So the more we can export, the better we are off in the next season. That's just of some of the smaller issues. Our inputs for the next season, next planting season of our maize crop, mainly our staple, is being imported currently. We talk about fertilizer, we talk about seed, we talk about fuel, we talk about tractors, equipment that's supposed to come into the country, and all that, the delays that's been caused by things like a road blockage the Van Reenens Pass that's been blocked over the weekend. That causes problems, that causes delays, and that causes a certain amount of risk in terms of production in the long term. Not added to the cost of the standing cost of the vehicles that's been used to import this, the insurance cost, the risk, the additional risk. We know some companies have employed alternative security guards or security measures to make sure that their trucks can go through this or around issues like this. So this is just adding cost to the country as a whole.
Yeah.
Foods specifically, but to the country as a whole.
Police Minister Bheki Cele has already said that whether it's economic sabotage, labour or service delivery related disputes, police are closing in on those who choose to use violence, intimidation for whatever motive. How imperative is the police's action in holding those behind this to book, especially considering the impact on the country's economy? Because as far as I understand, data shows an improvement in the sector's exports and imports space. I believe it's around 9% up from last year during the same period.
Yes, for sure. I think agriculture is in a good space. If we looked at around COVID, agriculture was really the one sector that was carrying the country through. Agriculture has been growing and been building from there. For this year already, we've got a trade surplus, and the bulk of the export still needs to happen in the second and the third quarter of the year. So we are very optimistic about agriculture. We're very optimistic about investment in agriculture, but things like this certainly has a negative impact. I think in terms of crime in general in the country is a big problem, and the problem is that the criminals aren't get to justice. They don't get through the system. It's not fast enough. It's not speedy enough. But you start where you arrest them. So we really are very encouraged by the minister that says he already identified a lot of people. Some of them have been arrested already. So that's very positive. But it needs to go through the justice system. There needs to be
Okay, we appear to
societal issue.
Yeah.
That we need to deal with.
Yeah, we lost you there slightly, but thank you very much. Let's perhaps leave it there for now. Weighing in, Jaco, Minnaar, President of AgriSA, speaking about the impact of the trucking incidents on the agricultural sector.